August the 3rd, 2016. There goes my audio jumping on me again. And just threw me right off just with that click. And so what you're looking at right here is a man who caused the death of one of our donators. This guy is known as Connecting Dots 1, Connecting Dots 2, Connecting Dots 3, Connecting Dots 4, Silver Gold Man. And I'm just going to show you that. I should do that every night. Here's a clip of him in the Rocky Mountains, Louise Lake in Canada.
So as I mentioned before, you have to wait for this bar. These are 20-second cycles. You have to, whoa, that's really high, folks. At 1.2, you're to exit the area. That's 1.3. Now we have to wait for 5 of these cycles to know if it's actually,
Okay.
Okay, dangerous.
Okay, here he is a couple of weeks ago in my town, in my community, calibrating those Geiger, same Geiger counters.
Yes, it's radioactive. Yes, I shouldn't be touching it right now. You're absolutely correct. So I'll be doing a test later on. I've already tested them, but yeah, just to... Whoops. Gotta hit the reset. Alright, so yeah, soaps, same thing with the soaps, you know.
Dangerous.
Very reactionary.
167. Okay, let's go back to that, the rest of that clip.
Oh, this is unbelievable, folks. Just unbelievable. So those of you that are doubting if Fukushima is coming here on the West Coast, well...
it's here, I can guarantee you, I'll show you later. But what's the chances that he used that to get those numbers when you just seen it with your own 2 eyes, right? See that number? See what he done? Now he raised money going across Canada, and the people that donated to me, Jeff Palco in particular, he harassed him till he committed suicide. Then he tried to raise money for Jeff's kid within a couple of days of guilty conscience. And then he flipped that and accused me of causing Jeff's death while I was on the ocean doing the Fukushima expeditions for life. Really something. Really scary people. So if you're in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and you see that, that's a murderer. He murdered a man. So this next clip coming up is a video I took on that expedition, and let's just play that. It's a whale slapping its tail. Now they do that to call each other, and also when they're distressed. Okay. Let me bring that up. Already on that? Okay. And so I was on that boat traveling the coastline. The arrows you see is the representation of the areas that we went into the tidal zones. We counted the species, and then what we done was looked at the insects, and also at the birds, and just generally life, of course, itself, but focusing in on 6,500 highly visible species in the tidal zones. And I'll give you an idea what that means, well, it used to mean. This is what it looked like throughout the whole coastline in British Columbia. But this is what we found. And so we were looking for 600 algae. We were looking for 78 species of starfish. We were looking for, and I'll find the pictures, the snails, the periwinkles, the sea anemones. There's 76 to 78 species of those. Now this is the coastline of British Columbia in one spot in particular, before and after pictures. This is before. Now I dove both the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean for 14,000 hours. And plus I studied nuclear a lot, and so if you were looking for the damage, the tidal zones are where you would expect to see that damage show up, right? And the sea anemones, you get 500 per square meter sometimes. In a lot of places, just about every place would have a few. My audio is really bad on my end. I don't know what's going on. Let me look at fighting this thing for 6 months. So the tidal zone was supposed to look like that and that and this. And now they look like this, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to have a conversation about all the species are missing from the whole coastline. Particularly that guy here, this murderer. He's not doing what he's doing on his own. He's not coming out and demonizing me. Now he's flipped. Now he said there's no damage. But that's easy to explain when you take into consideration he has radioactive material and he used it to calibrate these Geiger counter. But he took money driving across Canada, donations, going out showing people that kind of stuff, right? But 2 weeks ago, and that was 5 years ago, 2 weeks ago, he shows up in my community. In my community. He didn't go out and do the coastline. And hang on. Okay, let's keep going. Now, we're going to break this down so people can have it all in one package. Man, I'm having huge problems with that audio jumping. Unbelievable. It's only when I stream. We tried everything to solve that. And sometimes it's fine. Most times it's fine. Tonight it's all over the place. No doubt. No doubt they're hacking the crap out of me. Okay, first model, potassium-40 alongside of me. There's 15 million petabecquerels, but what does that actually mean? It's harmless. Everything on the planet is acclimated to it. It's just irrelevant. It's stupid. It's not radiation. Potassium-40 is not radiation. But look at the models where they claim Fukushima was 10 to 30 petabecquerels. Chernobyl was 85. The reason they're doing that is because of those pictures I showed you before, and I'll show you more later, of an extinction event here in British Columbia, Canada, and most likely the rest of the Pacific Rim nations, because there's 4.2 million other species in that ocean that didn't recede the coastline. They didn't recede that coastline. So normally, if you went in and plowed all these species out of the way, right, on a healthy coastline, they would just come up from deeper on both sides and fill in the gap. There's a better way of understanding. So if it was to go out and dig all that up, everything around it would just come in and fill up that spot. But the ocean was a super life, an incredible super life. And so now the coastline looks like that. And this is why they're working so hard to confuse you with nonsense like this. So potassium-40, just a quick explanation. Potassium-40, now I can't hear myself if I'm skipping, so I'll just keep talking. Potassium-40 when you put that into petavecquals, you're talking about a gram of potassium-40 would have about 160,000 emitters. These are huge, great, big, massive things, but they can't mutate a fruit fly or anything. They can't hurt you. Your body needs it. Your body and everything on the planet, your clothing, everything has potassium-40. So they've done that to confuse you. But if it was man-made, a gram of it would have 88 times 37 billion emitters. And each one of those emitters can give you a cancer or 1,800 diseases before the cancer showed up. What they call autoimmune deficiencies, illnesses, injuries will show up before cancer anyway. Okay. So the idea was to point Fukushima as nothing but potassium-40, as if it was something. So when you see 50 million, there's 50 million petavecquals, Dana, of potassium-40 in the ocean. We're not worried about 10 to 30, right? Because they claim it's like a banana and a potato chip that is like potassium. But there is no models for potassium coming out of a chain reaction. If it was, it would be highly radioactive. No matter what comes out of the chain reaction, it came from a chain reaction. And that meant that everything that came out of there, every atom was full of ionized radiation isotopes. These were ionizing radiation isotopes. And we know this from the studies on the animals. And every animal has died for 70 years. And so no animal survived. No animal was cured of the illnesses, of the diseases they gave them. Once the damage starts, so if you got one of these atoms of man-made inside of you, now Chernobyl was 1/3 the size of any of the reactors at Fukushima. But yet they say Chernobyl, which only lasted 10 days, released triple whatever Fukushima might have released. So when you think about those contexts, so a gram of man-made is 88 times 37 billion. It's 88 curies. Each curie is 37 billion radioactive atoms with isotopes in it. And it can have multiple isotopes in each one. And so the dog studies, the dogs would die within 5 years of bone cancer, leukemias, mostly. And so out of 144 dogs, say 90 of them died of leukemia. And the rest died of lung and liver tumors. But they all had competing tumors. Even the ones that died of the bone had liver and lung tumors. But they only had one inhalation of man-made radiation. It was a controlled release. But they've been doing this for 70 years, and every animal, they study the path it takes through the body. They sacrifice these dogs. They've been doing this, not just dogs, right? Okay. So the idea of showing you these charts in lectures is you'll see 50 million petavecquals. You see Fukushima with 10 to 30 petavecquals, and you're like, wow, that's frig all compared to what's naturally out. That's what they tell you. And that's what the exact thing they told you. But in reality, you had 3 100% meltdown, melt-throughs, melt-outs in Japan. Plus, there was 5 reactor cores on the roof of each of the buildings. Now, Chernobyl never had none of that. Chernobyl graphite was 1/3 the size and a 30% meltdown. And Chernobyl stopped after 10 days. But Chernobyl was equated with, according to the crazies out there, as only 400 Hiroshima bombs. So a Hiroshima bomb was 1 pound. So this is another massive lie they like to tell you. On the top of each of the reactors in Japan that blew up, there was 5 reactor cores went straight up in the air. Now a lot of that went out in the harbor of the Fukushima prefecture. And what they done was they cemented with this special type of cement the ocean floor. Because they know these rods, as you can see, and like Chernobyl was way inland, but these power plants were right on the ocean. Now, the stuff that was in Chernobyl still got washed into the rivers and washed down, and it still needs an amazing amount of water just to run these power plants, 1 million gallons a minute for the average ones, or more, per reactor, per day. I'm sorry, per minute, 1 million gallons. But anyway, a reactor chews up 1 million gallons a minute. There's 16 million glasses per minute, and each glass got 1 billion creatures, and eggs and larvae and small fries and everything else in it. And that is atomized in aerosol turned into steam to power your TV. So you kill 16 billion 16 million times a billion creatures, whatever that works out to. I can bring out the calculator if you want me to. I'm not afraid to do it. Okay. So, it's 10 to 30 petabeccles versus Chernobyl was 85 petabeccles, only lasted 10 days. These reactors haven't stopped the chain reaction, the demonic chain reaction. They don't know how to stop it. Nobody knows how to do that. There was a very high concentration of hot particles in the Pacific Northwest. Now, the plume stretched all the way across the Pacific Ocean. Let me keep going here. I'll get lost if I'm not don't pay attention to what I'm doing here. Okay. So just a quick reminder, Chernobyl, this is the equipment they use, but you don't see that for Fukushima. What they do in Fukushima is they sell it to the Canadians and Americans, right? They ship it there and bring it over here. They chemtrailed the skies. They're still doing it in Chernobyl. And they use these helicopters. There's 600 of these pilots died in Chernobyl. And Chernobyl now, they got to put new sarcophagus on it for the next 3,000 years. Every 10 to 30 years. Okay. So the Fukushima reactors. I'm the only guy who's ever went inside the Fukushima reactors. You see me? See that? See, I would be dead by now. I wouldn't make it outside. I wouldn't have made it in there, let alone make it over to that. Wouldn't all the wave at you. Because the fuel rods are there. That's me just green screening myself into it. Pretty slick, eh? So that yellow thing you see, that's supposed to be in the center of the building on the roof. Up close to the roof. I'll show you diagrams of that coming up in a little tiny bit. Or now, if you like. I'm not hard to get along with. So that's that bubble you see in the center at the top. I got one there of me peeing into it. I can't find it now. Anyway. And so the reactor pools are up high in the building. Okay? They're high in the building, but there is no high left in that building, yeah? Come back over here for a second. So that's unit 1. This is unit 1. And so this is a complete meltdown. They're building a sarcophagus at that time over it. They can't get into it. There was so much heat underneath it, right? It was an incredible amount of heat down. It not only blew up, but it melted down. And so the fuel pools were up close to the top. The reactor core is gone. Everything is gone in that building. All the reactor cores that were on the roof was gone. I smurfed up. The tsunami came through, ripped that country apart. Now, and at the same time, there was many other power plants got ripped apart. The Dynie now they emit. Finally, we've been talking about it. There's around 15 headlines I know about, and I brought it up many times, talked about it many times. Some people insist that the pictures, the fake pictures, what I call fake pictures of the reactors, these pictures here are the Dynie. But all the people say, including O'Brien and Seth Dorn, this is Seth Dorn,
of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation.
So he's saying he's at number 4. Here's TEPCO. Here's TEPCO's number 4 version. Miles O'Brien done the same thing where they claimed they were at number 4. But here's TEPCO. Just a quick reminder. Now I'm just going to shoot a hit on him a little tiny bit. That's where he's showing you before he's talking.
Dismantle of the Earth, as I mentioned, the successful completion of the dismantle.
So there's people out there claiming that was the Dynie. I had this argument with people lots of time. And all I'm saying is that this is what TEPCO, and this is what Miles O'Brien, and this is what the 7 other journalists that I showed the videos of, saying they were inside number 4. And number 4 looks like this. Not like that. Because you got to realize what happened to that building. So this is what they officially claimed. This is only a couple of months ago. TEPCO was at the Washington Press Club. They were all giggling in the audience. But number 4 looked like that after, and that's all that's left. And so that yellow thing you see there, that's supposed to be in the top in the center. Right? Because that's where the reactor core is, in the center of the building, not on the side of the building. See? Is that hard? Too hard for anybody to figure out? And that if the building looked like this, which it does, they stripped it down with the remote control devices and the homeless, the destitute, and the immigrants who don't speak the language. The sacrifice like they done with the beagle dogs and beagle puppies and all the other animals in radiation experiments for 70 years. And so they rolled it until you looked like that. Now people say that they were talking about the Donny. No, they were talking about being at number 4.
Decommissioning work
Fukushima
taking
Daiichi.
place here in Reactor.
Not number 4, Donny. And then anybody who can't work that out, oh, I can't help these people because we've been down this road so many times. Okay. And so they built this structure alongside of it, but you got to realize what the building used to look like. Here's what it looked like. Here's what it looks like now. And I got some good mock-ups. I just haven't imported them for some reason tonight. Okay, but the steam line to the turbine, you see that round circle in the center? That's that round circle in the center. That's that round circle on the side. See that yellow, big yellow bulb? And those other 2 pieces are part of the reactor. They're supposed to be under the bill. So they come out and lied to you, manipulated you, and deceived you. And that is why, one of the major reasons why the coastline of Canada looks like that. Instead, right? This is pre-Fukushima. This is post-Fukushima. These are from the same spot. And that spot, and just to clarify it for anybody that doesn't understand how the ocean works, the whole coastline of British Columbia, Canada was like that. And so we done the whole coastline. That's up at the nuclearproctologist.org. And what you see up to Prince Rupert, I'll zoom in a little bit more for you. The bottom left-hand corner, see Prince Rupert. You see those islands in the bottom left-hand side, Port Clemens. You see Earl. Well, that little valley alongside of Earl, I could do a better job with that right now. I'm just not going to go do it. I should do that, though. I should take a look at screen capture that spot, because I like demonstrating where those pictures in particular were. Because that's important, right, for people to get a handle on it. But you can look up Louise Narrow's Haida Gwaii, formerly known as Queen Charlotte's. And these are the pictures you'll find. That's where I got those pictures showing exactly that. And so they're verified by the people that posted them. And these are the pictures now that I took. And so the whole coastline of Canada is like this. And all that documentation of the whole coastline is free for you to use. It's up at the nuclearproctologist.org. And then also at the bottom of that, each of these pictures, corresponding to where all those arrows are to, there's all kinds of hints. Just get my spot here. And I've been working on the documentary. Hitting it pretty hard. And I got so many pictures of Zoe. Brutal. Japan has 30 million one-ton bags. Zoe was my dog for 15 years. And she stroked out on the boat a little over a month ago, when we were out doing a bird count, and died about an hour later. And so I have a lot of pictures of her on my site, and it's hard. I knew I was attached to my doggy, but I didn't know how much. But anyway, Japan has 30 million one-ton bags. Not just because of Fukushima Daiichi, but the Fukushima Daini and other reactors that melted down. Now also the common spent pools were on the ground when that tsunami came through the country. And so they got 30 million one-ton bags. It's 5 miles of traffic around the planet. And I can't remember what the height was. You stack them up to around 6 feet by 6 feet bags. Hundreds years after the plant rubble burned in major Japanese city. And so they're burning it in the rubble throughout it. And they're waiting for the wind to blow out to the ocean usually. And they burn it. They're actually burning it all the time as far as I know. But you got a lot of winds blowing out towards the ocean. And so you got all these 300,000 becquerels a kilogram, which is a dirty bomb many times over. Because it's just cesium they're talking about. And that's a tracer. Cesium and iodines are tracers. So when you hear about them, then every other isotope is there. That's all that means. It's really bad, don't get me wrong. Cesium's bad, so is iodine. Because iodine comes with 10 times more 132, 30 times more 133 that ionize and reach its thyroid glands 9 times more effectively. Because the nuclear industry is quacks. All quacks. Quack, quack, quack. Fukushima plant will burn radioactive waste. Where do you think that's going to go? It's going to go in the ocean, but it's also going to travel to North America. It's all going to travel right around the planet. It's also going to, because they're burning it at 3,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. So when a forest fire is burning, they'll make it up into the atmosphere. And we have studies on pollution from Asia, how it makes its way to North America in a couple of days. Not just from factories, but automobiles and forest fires. And forest fires and this kind of particles, that kind of stuff, is magnitudes of hundreds times larger, hundreds and thousands of times larger physically than the stuff that is coming from Fukushima, from the chain reaction, the radioactive ionizing materials. It's really bad because these are breeder reactors. So like I showed you earlier, these buildings have already created 30 million bags. It never stops. You can go back there and create another 30 million in the same spot. You can go back 6 months, 2 months, a week later and get another 30 million bags at the exact same spot. Because you're only doing surface stuff. And you don't go into the forest, only a couple of meters, if you do that at all. But it's only the homeless and the destitute, the victims of society, the immigrants that are doing that. And same thing at the power plant. You won't see Harvard or Yale or Berkeley or Stanford or MIT or Oxford or any of the shakers and movers or their lapdogs or cheerleaders or bootlickers down there. Well, think about how bad. Just imagine if your community would start to burning radioactive material in your community. What would you do? What would be your reaction? That they were burning nuclear dirty bombs all day long, 300,000 becquerels. Germany before Fukushima, was throwing their food away at 5 becquerels, putting it on a nuclear waste site and storing it. France was doing it at 17 becquerels, 300,000 becquerels, burning constantly all along the coast of British Columbia. Is the results of it is an extinction event. So 88% of the cesium and radioactive ash. So they're not looking at strontium, or they're not looking at the cobalt or the radioactive, the thousands of radioactive isotopes, the americiums, the neptunians. These are really nasty stuff. These are brutal. These burns holes right through your lungs and sequesters in your bones and mutates your stem cells. And the vicious, horrible way to go. And we see that just skyrocketing. Cancer is the last one to show up, though, but those types of cancer can show up a lot quicker. And they do. 6 times more breast cancer around nuclear power plants. Think about that one. So 88% of the ash left over that couldn't burn off is put in landfills where wind and rain is washing it into the Pacific Ocean. Pacific Ocean, every day, tens of thousands of miles of cloud is picked up all day long. It never stops going into the ocean. It's so tiny, it acts like the nutrients of the ocean. So it's liberated the same venue, the same vectors as nutrients is liberated in the ocean, because it's actually smaller than the nutrients. That's feeding the phytoplankton. That's feeding the pods, that's feeding the multicells, that's feeding the krill. 88% that are feeding the herring, the anchovies, the squid. 6,500 invertebrates with the backbones, which are like little shrimps. 88% of, but this is the incinerators. All your fires, flying cats. That's because you're on the ocean, you're breathing that stuff, you think it's cats. Because it kills the oxygen in your body, you're being attacked constantly. Your red blood cells are being displaced, and they carry oxygen and nutrients throughout your body. They're being displaced by the white blood cells, which will spend a couple of decades attacking that isotope in your body, that atom in your body with the isotopes in it from the chain reaction. You only need one. Radioactive fallout around Fukushima incinerator plants being hidden. It's very odd. No, nothing odd about that. What's odd is they're burning it in the incinerators. And that's not odd, that's bizarre. A horror movie. Hollywood should do horror movies about that. I already have, actually. But not burning it in incinerators. No one ever thought of nuclear waste from a nuclear plant in an incinerator. No one thought that was possible anywhere on the planet. You can go ask anybody else on the planet except for the Japanese, and they'll tell you that. But what? What? Dirty bombs in the incinerator? What are you, wacky buddy? What are you, some kind of nut job? No, they're going to burn the nuclear. Can you imagine that? But that's what's happening all day, every day, and will never probably end. I mean, look what you've done after 3 Mile Island. They boiled off, evaporated millions and millions and millions of gallons of unimaginable, inconceivable, highly radioactive materials that was captured in the water. Unbelievable. And hid it away from everybody. This is their history. Quack, 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 quack. That's how you talk nuclear. Quack, 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 quack. That's what nuclear is. That's what a nuclear scientist is. That's what a pro-nuclear, even though they might be nice people, they're nutty. They're idiots. They're morons. They got a death wish. Japan to burn drums of unprocessed. Where do you think that's going to go? Huh? They got that built and they're already doing it. Where do you think that stuff's going to go? Canada, America, your coastline, your ocean. Now the plumes that are coming out there are the width of the ocean. The distance, the entire span of the Pacific Ocean. And then just atmospherically. But it's not just from your atmosphere to the ground. It's from your atmosphere to the ocean, all the way down to the ocean floor. So the ocean itself is saturated. But oh, Dana, we can only find so much cesium. Yeah, but that's just a tracer. The reactors run on uranium, not cesium, moron. Dipstick. Doofus. You know. Go back and drink your Kool-Aid, morons. You don't believe that kind of nonsense. Quack, quack, quack. He spent the summer on a power plant. So he's healthy and they're all and all, you know. Right? This is the nuclear industry, though. That's the game. But in reality, they spent the summer alongside a power plant, and the one up in the sky didn't. That's the reality of that. 300 times more radiation released into the atmosphere, 300 times more isotopes, different isotopes at bigger 90. And I can't remember what the ratio was, but it's close to that for strontium-85 with about a 45-day half-life. Don't quote me on it. About a 2-year 10 lifespan altogether. So about 45 days or something. But these exposures, if it was just iodine, which is what you want you to think, right? This is all you write about in all your media and all your TV personalities, all your bootlickers out there. That's what they tell you. Scientists detected iodine-131 in traces of cesium, but never ever say the words that's tracers. It's not like they don't know, I can assure you. Is government trying to contaminate every region of Japan and the planet and the Pacific Ocean by burning radioactive debris? Fukushima was just a little smart. The incinerators are right the whole span of the country. And they're shipping it out there and dumping it in the rivers. Right from day one, for 5 years. It'll never stop. It'll never stop. Unless you stop them. Unless you try to hold them accountable. You got to send in international, monitors to monitor all the rivers all the time. So, because they're going to dump it every chance they get. They're burning it in the incinerators. Because someone put a loophole there and said, fuck it. Burn it all you want. I don't care. But the evilness of it, the nihilistic end result of this is staggering. It's frightening. It's devastating. Imaginable. You haven't seen a Hollywood movie. If I want a fear monger, and I probably will soon, I'll probably start it. Just full-blown, hardcore fear mongering. You can't talk about radiation without sounding salacious. You can't talk about radiation without sounding like that. You can't have a conversation about it. You're not allowed to. But there's no way not to. How do you have a conversation about something that kills everything? 209? Hang on. I'll never find that again. Oh yeah, I will. 209. How do you have a conversation about something? Studies, Dr. Raymond Gilmedy. Look at this guy. Unbelievable. And what did he do? He killed beagle dogs, beagle puppies, and curium isotopes is the biggest producer, not cesium, not iodine, by the way. Curium isotopes are the major byproduct in the rods. There was 10 reactor cores on the top of each of the buildings. Right? On the roof of each of the buildings was, 5 reactor cores on each of the buildings. But it was also the Daini, the Tokai. It was also, and we'll cover that in a bit, 15 plants couldn't go into cold shutdown. 15 plants declared station blackout. 15 plants were chewed up like a wood chipper. 400 kilometers of the coastline annihilated. Studies showed that the dogs inhale one of 2 sizes. One, right? See it? Of 2 sizes of monodispersed aerosols, the 238 weaponized plutonium, to achieve a greater level of initial lung burden. Just, that's all he done. And every dog died. What did the dogs die of? So, within 5 years, an extinction event for those 144 beagle dogs and beagle puppies. Yeah? And look at the bottom 2 sentences. These findings in dogs. Now, the reactors don't run on cesium and iodine. They run on uranium, and they create plutonium. Plutonium is man-made. That's where it came from in the first place, as a byproduct of that chain reaction of the 235, which is man-made. Right? It's extracted from the 238 that was originally taken out of the ground after they dug up a mountain. It's 400 train car loads to get a gram. That's why there's 88 curies, 88 times 37 billion atoms per gram of man-made, but 162,000 atoms of emitters of potassium-40, which is natural. But they can't hurt you. You all me. Go ahead and eat it. It's not going to hurt you. Let's keep going on that other one now. I'll never find that me way back there. I was at 200. So now I got to scan down for 200. See, thinking ahead. I can number these things now. 189, 204. And so here's that one. Here's back to that one. See, I'm on the right spot. Just like that. There I am. There I be. Here I go. Oh, by the way, hi everybody. Dana. I'm say hi for a minute first. Because I won't shut up. Otherwise, I'll just keep yakking. I'll just keep chatting. I'll move myself over. I know people don't like it when I do that. Well, Dana, just move that over. Dana, why don't you just do that? Oh, okay, I'll do it. Damn it. Why matter? Might as well make it a little bit bigger. While I'm doing that, I might as well move it over a little bit. Can I hide that behind her? There you go. See, I got a haircut. Peekaboo. Okay, stop fooling around, Dana. Hi, Nuts. Yeah, I always wanted to say that. Hi, Lonnie. That's Lonnie. Me and Lonnie does a radio show on Fridays. And Lonnie, you might want to put a link in there. Lawrence. Nathan. L.A. I know Elaine is sitting back. Hi, Elaine. Jan Brooks is out there somewhere today or tomorrow or tonight or now. And Kitty and Lawrence and Victoria's out there, I know, and her daughter. And hi, folks. Hi, everybody. There she is. Jan Brooks, Miss Milky the One. 11,000 subscribers, Jan. Woo! You deserve it. Every one of them, too. And she's got Miss Milky also, where for 5 years she uploaded mainstream media. she's got strikes, but kept accounts there. So 98% of the stuff she uploaded is still at the site. Stuff that got taken out. Got taken out. Not much you can do about it. But Age of Fission radio show. Thanks for... I was talking link, but that's okay. You can find me at Twitter, by the way. I started up a Twitter today just because I want to go scrapping. I want to go scrap. Where am I at Twitter, Dana? Where are you to? I smurfed this one up. I'm at Dr. Durnford. I'm at Dr. Durnford. There's my first tweet. And that's this video here. I've done my first tweet. I'm so proud of myself. Hang on, I gotta fix myself. Everybody's probably laughing at me right now, I'm sure. But R is my middle name. Now, it wasn't supposed to come out like that, and I didn't think I'd done that. See, it's supposed to come out like that, Dr. Durnford. Right? See that? Yeah, see that, Dr. Durnford? That's what it was supposed to show up like. But look what it looks like on the top. Whoops. I know that's not going to cause me no grief down the road. But whatever. That was my nickname growing up, by the way. It was Doctor. I went to university to become a chiropractor, right? I lasted one semester. I didn't have enough money to keep going, but I passed that one. That semester, I never made it back, unfortunately. I wanted to be a chiropractor. I'd done a lot of work, too, to get to that position. Am I fading there again? Hang on, I'll fix that. But, come on over and join me at Twitter, Mr. D. It's going to get rough and tumble over there, I can assure you. She's going to be rough and tumble over there, boy. Uranium stocks are dropping. They're not booming. They're not booming. Lonnie. Hang on. Here we go. Hang on. I'll bring that up for you. See how friggin' fast I am sometimes? This is the Australian gutter ball. Let me go backwards. So the stocks right now, they got 1.4 billion. Normally needed 200 million pounds each year to keep up with the 170 million pounds. This is what they were doing. Now they have a stockpile of 1.4 billion pounds. So 6 years supply for the first time ever. Imagine that one. But the price went down from 130 US to 25 US, $25 a pound, and still falling. It's been falling. That's what that story was all about. And so you might see people out there trying to prop it up and claim that the stocks are booming, but I haven't seen the evidence of it. That's a few days ago. That's the Wall Street Journal reposted by... Now, I'm not saying Lonnie don't have links to stories that are claiming that. I'm not implying that. I'm not saying nothing about Lonnie. We'll fight about it on Friday's radio show. Dana. By the way, hi everybody. Anybody I didn't get? Nathan. C News, CJ News, Stetton, Griffin. Hey buddy. Thank you by the way. Ninth Wave is here. Make way for Ninth Wave. Yeah, Stetton was injured in a car accident. Remember that last year? Jan, Miss Milky, saying you haven't seen him for a while. Aqua, Charms. You don't fight. Hey, some kind of pacifist or something? You hanging out with me? There's not where to fight. It's not where bothering with. You're not fighting for Fukushima? And Lottie's like, Dana, like, not going to answer you in little tweets all night long, you bugger. I'm just tormenting you. Strontium Milks. Following Dr. Durnford on Twitter. I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. Not that I know what I'm doing there yet. I got no idea how to tweet or Twitter. Obviously. Okay, let's keep going. I'm chatting in the chat room now, which is pretty darn cool, you ask me. How cool is that? You can chat in the chat room. That's thanks to Lonnie. Thanks, Lonnie. Let's keep going. Lonnie's yes, I can't remember. She probably said something to me. Get me back on Friday now. I was a temporary secretary, says Ellie. There you go. CJ told me to behave. Finally, somebody come along with a bit of common sense. I had a rough day. I got attacked today. Physically. By my landlord. Because there's an old wreck up beyond my house. Never gave me any letters, any notices or nothing. Freaked out on him and kicked me out. Now I gotta find another place to live. Good luck on that one. I can't even afford this place. $300 a month. I'll manage some way or another something. I'll probably be doing a video about him soon though. With some pictures and that, just to be a dick. Not getting away with what he's doing to me. But I'm gonna move out anyway, I guess. I can't go putting up with people like that. What an arrogant prick. Hi everybody. Okay, let's keep going. I'll lose track if I don't get moving. We like coming over and saying hi to people because that's important. And who knows what comes out of it sometimes. Japan's government agency compares radioactive material to an angry and agitated wife fighting with her husband. This is the government. Every government is the same way, but they don't take it to that extremes. But think about how arrogant that is. Don't worry about nuclear radiation. This is the real dangers of banana. That's what a government does, right? Don't worry about it. They found plutonium in every sample. Don't worry about it. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Dunford. Don't worry about nuclear radiation, you little pussies. No offense to pussies. And kitty cats or anybody else that got that tattooed on their arm or their leg or their stamp trap or whatever the case may be. Bless them all. Before Fukushima, 100 becquerels a kilogram after cesium is nuclear waste. After, 100 becquerels is safe. Yeah, it all because, like nobody's paying attention. So we decided we'll just jack it up. Then we can say you don't have to take anything. You don't have to worry about it. And nobody, TEPCO don't have to worry about you getting cancer. Not that you will. Fukushima burned 100,000 becquerels a kilogram. That's tame. They're talking about cesium, by the way. Which means, the reactors run on uranium. Not cesium, not iodine. I'm only telling you 500 more times this week. See, we got rid of it all. We let it blow up. Massive radioactive waste built up in Tokyo suburbs. Not to mention the sewage plants. Not to mention their water facilities. Oh my, you got no idea how bad this is. Schoolyards and playgrounds would terrify you, the numbers. And I'm probably clever some of it coming up with. No peas. See, that's pretty cool. Tell your neighbor, cesium approaching levels found in Fukushima. The dust is at 70,000 becquerels. They bring that to a landfill and just dump it. As it's driving there, it's blowing out of the trucks. Blows across, blows up. They're burning at 3,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. Straight up. The hotter it is, the higher it goes. Once it makes the lower, the lower upper stratosphere, that's 10 years at the lower. 20, 30, 50 years at the higher. And that's high enough, that's hot enough to do it. And these particles are not big like forest fires or big like automobile pollution or big like your industry pollution, right? No. This stuff is tens of thousands of times smaller. That's nuclear scientists on a coffee break watching me on the video. They're very pleased with the misery they created, the endless misery machine. They're yucking about it. High radiation levels near Tokyo linked to Fukushima. 29,000. 29,000. I'm sorry, 29 million becquerels a square meter. Divided by 29 to get a kilogram. In soil, or multiply by a kilogram by 29 to get a square meter. It's about that. You can do it. You can figure it out yourself. Almost double last government test. And Let me remind you, France, right, packages the food up at 17 becquerels and puts it on a nuclear waste site pre-Fukushima 5 years ago. And Germany at 5. What the frig is that? See, just because it's in the soil, does that mean it's not in the farm alongside of the spot you took it from? No, the whole prefecture's like this. But see, they're only looking for certain isotopes. If there's that much of that one there, right, you got to multiply that by around 12,000 isotopes and then multiply it by those becquerels again and again and again and again and again to get the actual numbers that are there. When they tell you it's like millisieverts or unisieverts or something like that, that's got to do with X-rays. That's got, unless these things are putting out X-rays, which from what we understand, the Unit 3 is putting out the atoms, the isotopes are putting out X-rays, types of X-rays. We've never seen that before in atoms. That's because they had Nix oxide fuel. It was 2 million times worse than any other radiation from a reactor on the planet. 2 million times worse. Talk about hot particle. That's hot in a whole new way. See above me, Germany packs at food at 5 of those. France at 17. This is my home. I'm right on the coastline of British Columbia. Powell River, British Columbia. You can look it up on a map. It's just a little tiny shithole. It's okay, pretty cool. You're isolated, it's all fairies, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing on the beach down there. It's naked. Right? Louis L'Amour come up and showed us all that there a few weeks ago with his videos. He counted 10 species while he was here. And he went home. But he's a murderer, eh? That guy's a murderer. Just let me remind you what a murderer looks like. That's him there. He killed Jeff Palco. Right up until the day Jeff Palco died, he was stalking that guy. We got the emails. We got Jeff complaining about it in other emails. And so to be easy to prove he's a murderer, he murdered that guy. Take a screenshot at... Now my stream only says 19 minutes for some reason. Did I get kicked off? Okay, let's keep going. Oh boy, finding my quack. That's what a nuclear scientist is. If anybody tells you like a banana or potato chip, or potassium-40 or rubidium, or there's more natural radiation than there is from a nuclear accident or Fukushima or anywhere else, then you have found a quack. And these are dangerous people. If they're in the media, they're educated and they know the difference. That's why they were put there. So they're murderers. Anybody tells you that it's harmless and that, it's just there's a lot more natural than it is from Fukushima, that's a murderer. They know what they're talking about. A nuclear scientist who tells you that there's not enough there to hurt you, it's man-made, for goodness sakes. That's why we have terrorist laws. That's why we got nuclear holding sites. That's why they're trying to build Yucca Mountain. That's why there'll be controversy in Australia. Blah, 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 blah. Areas in Fukushima are recontaminated within 24 hours being cleaned up. There's 30 million one-ton bags. They're only meant to last a year or two at best. Usually just for transportation. Temporary bags. They're not... I mean, if it rains, it runs out of the bag right away. The bags are designed to leak like that. They're not designed to fill up with water or something. They contain that too. And we know that a lot of the isotopes are soluble in water, except for the first 40 days when he sprayed salt water on the reactor. These sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyballs from the salt water, from the sulfur, create these like little soccer balls, microscopic soccer balls, that'll take in the uranium, plutonium, americium, neptunians, and everything else. Who cares about the cesium? But it does, even if it's just cesium or iodine, it changes the entire property of it, and it turns it into little nuclear engines. And these are not hot particles. These are oh shit particles. These are oh shit. It's like if you were in a laboratory and you found it, you run. You run. You dismantle the whole building. You run. Frank started to get a funny feeling that his doctor was a quack. He's a nuclear doctor, right? High levels of radioactive material found in Tokyo, 170,000 becquerels a kilogram in the slag. This is from the incinerators. They all go straight into the Pacific Ocean. Yummy Pacific Ocean, filling up with radiation, loving the radiation, filling up the ocean. Yummy, yummy, yum, 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 yum. Here comes the yum, 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 yum. Okay, so the plume is right across the Pacific Ocean. It starts here in Japan. So all of Japan is radiated over and 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 over. And that's Japan way over there. Bring it, baby. Bring it. Come on, boy. Bring it. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Look at China and everybody else is getting destroyed. So Japan is radiated, just like that. And the sailors off the coastline, how did they get away from it? Where could they go? Now, see, you see a few empty spots. It's not actually like that. But what it's shown you within a couple of days, the whole width of the Pacific Ocean, it all falls down in the ocean. It's radiation from the ocean to the atmosphere, and it's radiation from the ocean to the ocean floor. These particles are the same size as the nutrients, which is brought up with the cold water all day, every day to feed the phytoplankton at the surface of it. So if you were in the ocean, you can see the radiation. Or if you were in a submarine and you can feel the radiation like ball bearings bouncing off your hull, it'll be like a thunder and lightning storm on your hull the whole time you're in the ocean. Just boom, 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 because you're banging into it constantly. Because it's like an invisible snowstorm. So think of a snowstorm. Now put the snowstorm in the ocean, all the way to the ocean floor, to the ocean ceiling. Now imagine that happened within a couple of weeks. That was completely saturated from the entire atmosphere, the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere in particular, rather. So even if it makes it to the ocean floor, it gets brought back up with the nutrients to feed the phytoplankton. That's how bad it is. That's how bad. That's how much trouble we are. So this model here is Noah's model. And so once again, you see the oceans. Yeah, I'm going to skip ahead to about day 40. So now like this isotopes that they're using here is just a little tiny fraction of what they emit was released. They didn't include the buildings that I showed you earlier. They didn't include the 5 reactor cores on the top of each roof and that inventory. They didn't include the inventories even that were in the reactor. The only inventory in that model is the dispersal of a couple of kilograms or a kilogram or so of uranium isotopes, daughters, which are cesium and iodine and rubidium, plutonium and americium. These are major ones, and curium occurs. Curium is the biggest producer of the radiative fuel rods. Those fuel rods were on the roof for 10 years, so there's 5 reactors on the roof of each of the buildings. Okay. Now, so this falls down into the ocean constantly, but it's suspended there. There's lots went into the ocean, but the ocean now is a snowstorm in the ocean. But it's a snowstorm above the ocean. It's a snowstorm in the ocean, above the ocean. Now, everything that comes in and hits your coastline, that hits a rocky mountain, say in Canada, or everything on the west side of the Rocky Mountains will wash back down towards the Pacific coastline, which is where I've done the expeditions. And I've done 5 of them, 260 days, 15,000 miles. That documentation is up at thenuclearproctologist.org. Okay, and so everything on the east side would wash down towards the Atlantic. So as it's falling on the east side, no matter if it, like on Canada, for instance, so like Alberta is next after British Columbia as you go east, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Montreal, Quebec, rather, etc., the eastern provinces. Okay, so if it falls anywhere in those provinces, it heads towards the St. Lawrence. Now, we have endless amounts of documentation on the mass die-offs, never seen before, never recorded before. The whales starved to death, the sea lions starved to death, the hundreds of thousands of birds starving to death. And we got that documentation, endless amounts of it now. The extinction, the death of the herring, anchovy, squid, the sardines, which predicated was the preamble to the death and the die-off now of the bigger mammals, because they were mostly dependent upon the krill, the herring, the anchovies, the sardines, and the squid, yeah? And so they would migrate with that for many months at a time. So the dispersal model that you're looking at is only based upon 40 days, only based upon a pound or 2 pounds of the isotopes, not based upon the millions of pounds that are actually missing. It's not based upon the incinerators burning it out into the ocean all the time. It's not based upon TEPCO dumping it into the rivers and lakes and estuaries and streams and everything else. It's not based upon, the other reactors, not based upon the common spent fuel pools throughout that prefectures, the 400 kilometers of the carnage that was. We'll just touch upon that very quick. I got that sitting right here for us. So when that tsunami came through, it left chaos, yeah? Well, I got the extension cord, but I don't know where to plug it in. If we don't plug it in the next 18 hours, we're going to lose all those reactors. If they survived the tsunami, I don't know how they could have survived the tsunami, but they say get an extension cord and plug it in. I don't know where to plug it in. I can't find any receptacles. Can you help? Do you see one? I can't find it. I think there's one down here somewhere. I'll go check. I'll get back to you later, okay? All right. So, where all of this wreckage is to, where all of that is to, when you look at that stuff, that's not what we're talking about burning in incinerators, okay? That's different than what I'm talking about. I'm almost here. And think about that. And think about these comparisons. Look, this is what they claim it looked like on the inside. Yeah? Right by me. This is what they claim looked like inside the other building. So when the fuel pool started its own chain reaction. Well, the fuel pool is actually gone. Yeah? It doesn't look like the one we got here. These are both official pictures. Hang on, we got to get down to the good stuff, though. I just got too much. Hey, that's how I like to roll, you know? So don't look like that inside of that. And nobody's going to dispute that. Inside of that, that's the bottom part of the building. Here's what the whole building looks like. That yellow centerpiece you see on the side here is supposed to be in the center on the top, yeah? Okay, I'm struggling. So the tsunami came through these power plants, detonation, evaporation. That's unit 3, by the way. But look at the carnage here. Think about this carnage. This is 400 miles of the coastline, 400 kilometers, sorry, of the coastline. Now, do you really think that all the power plants that were in that same area, well, think about where all the people died. I'll give you a zoom of that so you can actually come back, because we're streaming in 1080. That Beautiful Girl by Dana. And so all those people died. Those 30 million bags never came from those. They only came from, those 30 million bags are just Fukushima Prefecture. But there was power plants throughout that whole area. So it was wrecked. It was torn apart. All the waste facilities, all the common spent fuel pools throughout that whole infrastructure. We know there was 1,800 barrels of fuel in another place that caught fire and burnt during that tsunami and those fires. Yeah? You know the one that shows you of the oil facility on fire? And people say, hey, that's not Fukushima. That actually had all kinds of depleted uranium. Of fuel from the reactors stored at that site. They lost it all. It caught fire and burnt out. And so these buckyballs we were talking about earlier, you take these forms from the sulfur. And now the radioactive isotopes can get in, are sucked in. And I knew this from the 40s and 50s from the water testing. And so there's so many of these created by spraying the salt water. So the depth of the Pacific Ocean, this is a model of 6 years, but it's only based upon a couple of pounds of dispersal. Think about that one. But because a gram has 88 curies, 88 times 37 billion atoms, and that's enough if you distribute it out to give everybody cancer and all the animals too. But cancer takes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to manifest, diagnose, show up. 1,800 diseases show up before that. Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, diabetes, heart, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary, adrenaline gland, and many, many, many manifestations of that, daughters of that. This is another way of looking at it. So rain with 20 million particles of radioactive iodine fell. But think about those models I showed you. Well, that was symmetrical. Right, the width of the Pacific and the width of North America and the width of the Atlantic, right? That this was happening. We know it was 220 million. There's 10 times more iodine 131, right? Missing from that model that you talk about. Because iodine has an 8-day half-life to 131. So it's a good way of tricking people who don't know any better and don't investigate anything or don't understand how to go about it. And you make it difficult. There's 1 million corporations dependent upon the nuclear industry. There's 9,000 facets, minutiae of the minutiae of the minutiae of the minutiae of each of those facets. And so it's a very complex puzzle when you think about how the nuclear really truly does work and what are the forces behind it and what kind of power do they wield. So 1,000 corporations are dependent upon the nuclear industry. It's not counting, well, I guess it is, the military applications and everything else, right? But over 1 million corporations depend on making nuclear power plants. Right? Think about space shuttle. How many corporations does it take to make the space shuttle? That ain't nothing compared to a nuclear power plant. So you got all these companies specializing in just making one thing. That's why they're so expensive. That's why it takes so long. That's why there's so many issues with these things. That's why there's so, there's so many. Power plant is like a watch. And if we know one thing, watch breaks. And the watch repairman doesn't like to do his job when it comes to nuclear power plants. Nobody wants to go in there. Like Harvard and Yale and Stanford and MIT, Oxford are not going into Fukushima. They're not going there with the homeless and make sure they're wearing dosimeters. Average person in Seattle breathing 10 hot particles a day. See, that's a way of breaking the story to you. That's a way of if I tell them 1, that's a pretty big lie. If I tell them 10, I don't feel so bad. Because anybody starts looking at it realizes they're in trouble, so maybe they'll get the message. That's what that story is all about. Or just afraid to tell the truth. I'm not afraid, but radiation data from the Seattle area, paid for by you, funded by you, of course, and you gave these people authority, you gave them equipment, you gave them the monetary, you gave them the ability, you gave them everything they ever wanted, the education included, and you paid for their children's perfect teeth, and you paid for their cottages. They got a wicked pension. And when it happened, what did you do? Terrorists might be able to utilize that against us. So they lie to their own family and their own friends and their own loved ones. We have an extinction event. And this is getting worse every day. This is getting more frightening every day. This is becoming more real every minute. It's becoming more... It's not going to go away. TEPCO ready to release radiation, not information. But why is a corporation that has such an atrocious, hideous record of murdering people with radiation allowed to be free walking on the streets? Because you have corporate personhood as an entity to protect them. So Google, Mark, and Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and Google's Eric Schmidt, or whoever, can't go to jail, can't get a criminal record, can't be held accountable. The company gets a fine. You can't go to jail. You don't... Like normally a company ran on a charter. TEPCO's supposed to be on a charter because they got democracy there. They got corporate personhood because they trade on the stock exchange. So the stock exchange is protected from criminal liability. The worst that can happen to them is they get a fine. And they don't pay taxes because they're a corporate personhood. They put all their money in offshore accounts. So any fines are acceptable because they're just paying it from the taxes they didn't pay before. And that's why your communities in democratic countries are cannibalizing you, because the corporations won't pay their taxes. And they're using the money to bludgeon and take away every other company's ability. Because Google and Facebook will just steal your idea, spend $1 billion and float it out there, and you can yell all you want, and they'll make it, no one cares about it anymore because it'll show up everywhere. You'll never get your moment. Government may have delayed level 7 rating. May have. Right, so the paper that's writing these articles and putting, allowing these people to structure sentences like that, is to, once again, to mitigate what they're doing, to absolve them of their responsibilities. 300,000 becquerels, that's a dirty bomb. Depositing areas, just iodine. But, I mean, we had 200 million becquerels per liter of rainwater of iodine-129 from a chain reaction with a 15 million year half-life. This is ionized and this is radiated. It's no different than this iodine that they're talking about. This iodine they're talking about is 10 times more 132 and 30 times more 133. So multiply 30 times 300,000, right? Would have been there at the exact same time. Plus the reactors run on uranium, not iodine. And the biggest producer out of the reactors is not iodine, it's curium. And not only that, I mean, there's 5 reactors on each roof that is missing. I showed you the pictures earlier. It's missing. And what did your media do? Oh, they're going to get the fuel rods out of there. Is that not a betrayal? Is that not the most frightening thing you ever heard? When your media told you that, when the apologists say that, that is a murderer talking. That is a vicious thug talking. That is a rootless individual talking. Okay, these are rootless people. These are moralists. These will attack everything and everybody to get a paycheck. It's all about a paycheck for them. Plus, they hate you. They hate all life on this planet. They couldn't get a job anywhere. Not that a menial job is bad. I put potatoes in bags for a living. I emptied transport trucks by myself for $15 a day when I was young, when I moved away. I've done all kinds of menial work. I don't see anything wrong with it to build up a stake to go do something better. I took the money and then bought equipment and went out and started up a little business. But it took a long time to buy equipment, and I was a stranger in a stranger land, and I done what it took, rather than be a burden. 40 million becquerels of iodine-131. It washes off your land back down to the coastline. But kelp is where it'll aggregate like iodines, including the iodine-129. So you have to do all the mathematical equations. You have to do the subtractions because you know there's a ratio. So if iodine is found there, there's 12,000 other isotopes there in huge quantities, in massive quantities. But that would be applicable to every meter of the Pacific Ocean. That's applicable to every meter in North America. The jet stream comes straight here. The ocean currents come straight here in 45 days. The tens of thousands of miles of rain being picked up or brought in all the time. Like, we cannot sit here, and the show's wrapping up here now, I know, but we cannot just sit here and allow this to happen. We cannot sit here and allow these people and their ignorance and their greediness to persuade us to just walk away or to give up on the reality that we got to come up with the technology to deal with it. We got to stop the reactors in Japan. Nothing else matters. It don't matter. We got to stop the reactors in Japan. We can't do that with unskilled labor. Yeah? We got to take every nuclear scientist and ship them down there, whether they want to go or not. Right? We got to bring them at gunpoint into Fukushima and make them fix it. We have to do that. Somebody will have to do that in the near future. These are the people that created it, and they're the only ones that can go in and clean up what's there. We got to sacrifice every nuclear scientist on this planet, just like they done at Chernobyl. We got to sacrifice millions of the academics, the pro-nuclear academics. They have to be singled out and taken by force down there and made to work on these places like a gulag. Because we have to do that. We don't have the technology, and we don't have the time to wait. We don't have the ability to try to come up with the technology anymore. We have the ability to create it. Just in North America, there's 4,300 peer-reviewed academic studies published every day. We're going to spend some of that horsepower into solving some of these issues. You're still stuck with the homeless, the destitute, and the immigrants who don't speak the language. That's the people that are going in there. Harvard's not going in there. Yale's not going in there. Oxford is not going in there. They should, though. Like, in a moral and just world, that's what we would do, is we would sacrifice these academics and these scientists, nuclear scientists in particular. They're not good for anything else. They got no use on this planet, not even to their own families. They have loved ones. They have pets. Their families are pets. They don't see their families as loved ones. They don't have that emotion. They lack that emotion. They don't understand pain unless it's inflicted on them. Then they might get it. But they probably like it. And these people are vicious thugs. That's what a nuclear scientist is. Oh, it's like a banana, it's like a potato chip. You got any idea? You have any concept? How long have you been doing that and why do you do it? Because if you told you the truth, that every dog died and every animal died in every study throughout history for 70 years of the nuclear industry, that millions of scientists have carried out these studies on dogs and other animals and are still doing it today. Dr. Raymond Gilmed is still alive and still in business, still killing dogs, beagle dogs and beagle puppies. It's not just the beagle dogs and beagle puppies though. But we sure like to rattle that one. Yeah, we like to rattle that one, boy. Woo! We get our quarters worth out of that guy. Ha ha ho! Let's go over and say good night to everybody. Good night, everybody. Hugs for everybody. Thank you, everybody. Dropping by. Josh, Strontium, CJ, Paul, Nuts, Lawrence, Paul, Tree Wolf, I'm your rocker. Anybody I'm missing? Hi, everybody. Just make sure I say hi to everybody before we call it night. Miss Milky, the Clown 1, and Miss Milky the Clown on YouTube are full of Fukushima media for 5 years worth there, folks, right there. Chronological order as it happens. What more do you want? What more could you possibly want? There's all kinds of links under my video to other people, other sites. I never say, hey, you gotta come see Dana. And the only reason I threw out my Twitter, Dr. Durnford, DRDURNFORD, Durnford, is because there's Corey. Hey, Corey. Hey, buddy. Yeah, Corey, I don't got no minutes on my phone. I can't even keep up what I'm doing right now, buddy. And Corey hosted the expedition for 7 days in the Charlottes. And he was the #1 host. And a crazy, amazing, not crazy, but an amazing host. And I can guarantee you that there wasn't 1 second I was at his home that I did not feel welcomed. That's what makes it hard, because you can't keep up with it all. You meet so many amazing, endearing people, and you just don't have the ability to maintain that relationship or that friendship. And I talk to so many people on the phone that I just can't do it no more. I don't raise any money. I don't raise enough to keep afloat as it is. And I don't even know how I'm going to manage to move at the end of this coming up here. Not that I want to, but I've probably got no options, because I can't have dangerous people like that. They could hit me and then I'm in trouble. And very dangerous people do that kind of stuff to me. That's very scary. It worries me. That's my landlord I was talking about earlier. Anybody's not familiar with that one. Disgusting maggot here in Powell River, British Columbia, Canada. A parasite upon our society, preying upon disabled people, that guy. But there's so many people, like all your comments will be gone, so all I'm doing there is I'm spinning through looking for somebody while I'm yakking my ears off. DDR Durnford on Twitter, that's right, thanks Lonnie. Miss Milky. And I can't pronounce your name right now. Ophelia? You gotta say it with an F, so there's probably a Francis? Maybe? I don't know. I'm just trying. MG, Sarah Noah. I can't even pronounce it. Saranara. Is it? Saranara? Saranara. You gotta grind my teeth together when I say it. My apologies. And everybody, yeah, thanks LA. And Elaine is out there, I know. And Amthurst is out there, I'm sure. We'll be out there later. She's busy, I'm sure, with her child, with her daughter or something tonight, or friends or family, just even enjoying the night. I'm just saying, Pam, hi Pam. And everybody else out there I didn't say hi to, I was just making sure I took a few extra moments to make sure I say hi, because I'm not getting many streams in. We're not getting that many streams in, so it's not like I stop or slow down or don't, or I'm not active or don't. But this guy here, Louis L'Amour, that guy's a murderer, yeah? He's 100% a murderer. Louis L'Amour, the world will know his name coming up, I can assure you. He'll be charged for manslaughter anyway. There's so many things I got to keep up with, and so many things I got to try to accomplish. I have nothing. Please donate. At the Nuclear Proctologist, you'll find links below how to donate directly to me. Any questions? 604-223-0763. You only get a couple of minutes at best if you're lucky. I don't recommend it right now, but if you need to donate, let me know. And everybody else, Tree Wolf, Nathan, anybody I didn't get, Nuts for Art, which is Lonnie, the Age of Fission. You can listen to her show, look it up on YouTube, Age of Fission. You'll find lots of links under my videos, all kinds of people. Jan Brooks got a smorgasbord over there at 2 of her sites. She's linked from her, Miss Milky the Clown 1. Tons of links under my video too, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So that's all I can do is bring you the documentation, show you the murderers, show you the vicious thugs, the monsters. He's known as connecting dots on the internet, 1, 2, 3, and Silver Goldman. This guy's a murderer. He killed Jeff Palco, haunted him right up until the day he committed suicide. And Jeff had no reason to do that. He never would have done that without Louis L'Amour harassed him constantly. And we got the emails from all kinds of people and exchanges with Jeff Palco, including myself. And because I talked to Jeff lots, I knew Jeff really well. And so we must never forget that this man took the life of another man to try to silence us, and then try to blame it on me. But now that we had a good look at what happened here, we understand what took place. We got the emails, we got the confirmation. This guy's a stalker. He makes every video to come out and smear me on top of that. And yet you've seen him himself, right? You heard his
As I
words.
mentioned, area, that's 1.3. Now we have to wait for 5 of these cycles to
Don't
know
forget
if it's
the
actually...
words. Yeah.
Okay, danger.
Right? And then you can see him. This is how he done it. Underneath the Gardner counter was that. Right? And so he raised money right across British Columbia and out in Alberta with a scam. And now he's out there scamming people. He scammed Jeff Palco, right? Of his life. Harassed him constantly. It's unimaginable that somebody like that exists on this planet. It really, truly is. And that this person is totally remorseless and is obviously part of a big crew of people, the pro-nuke industry. They have nothing to gain by doing what they're doing to me. I showed the documentation. It's all up at the nuclearproctologist.org. It's not me. It's documented. I put it up there. 1,000 to 2,000 pictures a day, every day. A relentless, unimaginable, inconceivable amount of work, and time and energy. And then the monetary was unimaginable for everybody that made that happen. It's a shocking testament to the good of nature and the bad of nature. But we got to stop the reactors, okay? I'll leave it on that. We got to stop the reactors. Nothing else matters. We got to stop it. We got to stop the Fukushima reactors and the Donny reactors and anything else that happened down there. We got to get busy. We will end up doing this. This is ultimately where we're going to end up having to go. We better head there now. Pretending that is like a banana potato chip, no more. I'm not putting up with it anymore. You'll hear about it on Twitter at least, and YouTube and a few other places. Hugs for everybody. Take care, folks. And remember, I don't stop all day, every day. Just because I'm not posting doesn't mean I'm not relentless. I can assure you that nothing will change in the rest of my life until I see this through. I will see this through at all costs. Hugs for everybody. Take care, folks.